So if you're watching, yeah, your left, and to the right, Salvatore Mazzurco. Now, Pietro Alfano was critical because that was Badalamente's nephew. He was not in New York. He was in the Midwest, but he also was a Struns. Tell us a little bit about him.
He liked to talk a lot, obviously, on the phone because that was the taps that ended up getting Badalamente caught.
Correct.
They heard a guy on the other side of the phone, very subtle,
which is Uncle on the phone.
Yeah, and he's talking about weight, if I'm correct.
Well, they would say shirts, but they knew what it was.
Yeah, and right, these people weren't dumb, and at the time there was a couple of FBI agents who also spoke the Sicilian dialect, and they were putting things together real quick. Actually, there was that one guy. He was in the documentary. He's very fluent in Sicilian. I forgot his name. He's been in a couple of documentaries, especially when it comes to the Pizza Connection documentaries. He's been around, but yeah. So I mean, I'll tell you a story. These guys are fucking the hoodlums. They're not fucking brain surgeons. So there was one guy, right? He calls his cousin up and he tells him, "Look, I got these 2 refrigerators, which were 2 kilos. Are you gonna you want 2?" He goes, yeah, you know what? Give me 2 refrigerators. And then he steps back. He goes, you know what? Make that 1.5. He wants 1.5 refrigerators.
What the fuck? Make this up.
Yeah, no, you can't make. This is true shit. Okay, so that shit. So Alfano definitely fell under the IQ right there. His IQ was not. He didn't have a savvy street IQ.
I want to give a little bit of an insider knowledge. So you and I were talking on the phone about this, and I think it's fair. Big money was flowing in. Now, the U.S. government estimates that pipeline at $400 million per year. I actually think it was more. That's just my humble opinion.
But I don't know the numbers, Tom.
Right. You could share this if you don't mind. You were talking about you were working Baccarat and card games when the Sicilian mafiosi were making money and what kind of money they were gambling and making.
No. I said no. During that era, I wasn't working the Baccarat game. I would go there. My family worked the Baccarat game.
How about this?
I worked when it started becoming very, very, very not as lucrative. It was not even close. Well, anyway, are you familiar with a Texas Hold'em table?
Absolutely.
And they used to stick hundreds in my pocket. I'm like a 12-year-old kid, 13-year-old kid. So I would go in there. So a Texas Hold'em table, right? Yeah. So picture you don't see the felt.
Yeah.
You don't see the felt. You see all freaking hundreds.
Wow.
All right. Well, yeah, and it'll be like, hey, go get me my bag. Guy come back with a bag in the car. Send his gopher. Come back with 100,000. They'd be in there for 2 fucking days straight on Knickerbocker Avenue playing. So I got into the game where all these guys weren't around no more. And, so many short memories and together with stories that were corroborated by guys who were around at that time working the game. Yeah. They were bringing home shitloads of money.
Yeah.
Just working the game. And that was back then. So, yeah, that was the most lucrative time in the Baccarat game history. A game that was started by my family in the 60s, late 60s. And I don't know if it's still around anymore, but it was until I got locked up.
Okay, so now the stuff's getting imported. How many pizzerias were roughly involved? I read the book so long ago, so you guys got to forgive me, but I think it was north of 100 different pizzerias, a lot in the Midwest. How many pizzerias would you guess?
I knew maybe of 6. The one in particular was we called each other relatives. We weren't relatives, but we called each other. Was he ran it for Sal Catalano, and that was this guy. His last name was Dr. Mella. He's no longer with us. He had passed. That's why I'm not putting him out. I really actually like the guy too. And he ran the place. That was the Al Dente in Queens Boulevard. That's where that picture is taken where Alfano's on the phone.
Yeah.
That's right. That's a payphone right outside of Al Dente.
Right. So now let's go to the U.S. side let's deep dive there and unpack that a little bit. What Borgata?
We are on the U.S. side.
No, meaning, but what Borgata specifically or what crew specifically? Because like you were saying, it was like an open market, right? I'm on Knickerbocker Avenue.
Look, if you're selling drugs and you're selling them cheaper than somebody else, they're gonna buy them from you. That's what it was.
So who were some of the players on the U.S. side of things that were either Sicilian Cosa Nostra or American LCM?
I'm not. There's a lot of guys that are out there.
Yeah.
And I mean, figure you guys ain't dumb. You guys know your mob 101. Sicilian Zips, and Bonanno and Gambino.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there was regular American guys that would buy from these guys. You know, the Sicilians and the Asians. The Asians had to connect too, but they really didn't, because there was a lot of if you will, a lot of lost in translation. So they really didn't deal with each other. Now, if they grew up together in Chinatown and you had an Italian American third generation and a Chinese second or third generation, they'll deal with each other.
I'm not gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna ask this question you may not know, or you.
I don't know it. I just don't know it. I'm not gonna.
No. This next question, I spent. Wait. Mr. Alfano, Pietro Alfano. I call him Nostrunz, right? Just not a smart guy. So now 22 defendants went into the trial. One died because he was old. 2 or 3 pled out, smaller guys. One got killed, and then one got shot, which is Pietro Alfano in the village, and allegedly got shot by Patsy Conte, who's a Gambino captain. So now, remember, for the most part, the Gambino family was mostly unscathed because of the pizza connection, within the pizza connection, mostly, right? But why is a Gambino captain trying to kill a nephew of Badalamenti if he's not involved with the case? In your opinion, of course.
Oh, probably sent there. Well, obviously he's a heroin trap. See, you made me say it. We're talking about Patsy Conte. We all know he was a big time heroin trafficker, and probably had something there he didn't want to be told. He wanted to shut this guy up. There was rumors that he was going to talk as well, if you remember.
Okay, so now they get busted, and there wasn't any turncoats within their actual organization, which is insane. Their turncoats were Tommaso Buscetta. I think Salvatore Cotrono came over as well. So why don't you give a little bit about, and I think it was Giuliani who prosecuted them. So give us a little bit about the Pizza Connection case, and then how kind of landed.
Well, it was built between both places, and the 2 informants that they did have were Italian. They had on the Italian side, they were the strong informants. But I'm beginning to think, even reading about the case, and I've read about it. I'm feeling that they were taking them on structure, on how the process goes. I think Contorno himself states that he had met Catalano one time, discussing a drug deal, and that kind of put him there. So I don't know. It seemed like it was fucking just grasping at straws. I don't know. That was just what I got out of it. I don't want to sound like some mobsters, saying, hey, you know what? I feel bad for these guys. I hate myself because I'm right, whatever. I'm not that guy. You know who you are. I rat it, whatever. I think so. But on that aspect of that case with those 2 guys, Contarno and Bush.